everyone, thanks for joining me today for another episode of Healthy Pro's Expert Series. My name is Steph Tarnacki, and I'm a registered dietitian and a services coach here at Healthy Pro. Today we're going to be talking about the Buy American Provision, what it is, why it matters, and what you can do to stay compliant. I'll also tell you about some new features that Healthy Pro's added to make this process a whole lot easier for you. So let's start with the basics. The Buy American Provision requires school food authorities, or SFAs, to purchase domestic products to the maximum extent possible. In simple terms, it means most of the food that we serve our students should be grown or produced in the United States. It also means SFAs need to track what they're purchasing and document whether those products are domestic or if a Buy American exception applies. So what is American made versus the Buy American exception? This is where things can get a little bit confusing. For unprocessed foods like fresh fruits and veggies, the requirement is simple. They have to be grown on American soil. But when it comes to processed foods, American made doesn't automatically mean the product meets Buy American requirements. To qualify as American made, the product must be processed in the United States and contain at least 51% U.S. grown agricultural ingredients. This also extends to U.S. territories like Guam, American Samoa, and Puerto Rico. The exceptions are allowed when the product is not able to be produced or manufactured in sufficient quantities in the U.S., so think avocados, bananas, pineapples, or if the cost of the U.S. product is significantly higher than the non-domestic option. A big takeaway here is that you have to have documentation. If you're using an exception, you must clearly document the reason why and maintain records to support it. So how can you actually stay compliant? First, you can start by building your menus around domestic products whenever possible. Being intentional at the menu planning stage makes compliance much easier down the line. Second, you should take full advantage of the USDA foods and commodity products. These items already meet the Buy American requirements and can simplify your purchasing decisions. Third, you can participate in farm-to-school programs or grant opportunities. These programs really support local and domestic sourcing, and they strengthen our community connections as well. Fourth, you can work closely with your vendors, make sure they provide clear country of origin documentation, and you can also use the geographic preferences when you're going through the procurement process. And finally, make sure to document everything. Maintaining records and documentation is what protects you and your program during an admin review. So I've listed a few examples of documentation here. Vendors can provide the information in a variety of different formats. Some will issue a blanket statement covering all of their products. Others will supply a list identifying which items meet the Buy American requirements, and some may provide individual documentation for each specific product. If you're claiming an exception, you want cost comparisons, price was the reason, and any notes showing that a domestic alternative was not available. So why does Buy American matter? This isn't just about compliance. Buy American supports U.S. farmers and food producers. It strengthens local and national food systems. It ensures transparency about where our food comes from. And most importantly, it aligns with the mission of school nutrition, which is to serve high-quality meals to students while being responsible stewards of federal funding. So how can Healthy Pro help you? This is where Healthy Pro really shines. We've done all of the heavy lifting for you. Our team has reached out to more than 215 vendors to collect the documentation needed to support the Buy American compliance or the approved exceptions. And as a part of that effort, we reviewed and updated over 3,200 ingredients in our system. So our goal is simple: to make compliance easier so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time focusing on what matters most, which is feeding our students. Thanks for watching.